Namaste and welcome, beautiful yogis, to another beautiful breathwork session. Today we are going to be covering Antara Kumbhaka. And there are two different Kumbhaka practices. So Kumbhaka means breath retention. Now Antara Kumbhaka is the retention of your inhalation, whereas Baya Kumbhaka is the retention of your exhalation. So we'll be focused on Antara today. And I specifically wanted to focus on that of the two because I feel that when you inhale and you hold the retention, you're really sending a lot of beautiful energy and intention into the heart center, which is the focus of this month, opening your heart and really focusing on your heart center space. So I took a few notes here that I wanted to cover just to make sure that I'm fully covering this about this breath and the importance and the benefit of it overall. So when you pause in between your breaths, that moment of silence really allows you to connect to your inner stillness and the present moment. Because if you notice, without even focusing on holding and retaining your breath, you naturally retain it. And we talked about this a little bit in Samavriti, just observing the natural pauses in between your inhalations and your exhalations. Well, in Antara Kumbhaka, we really focus on the retention rather than the length of the inhalation and the length of the exhalation. So, to start off today, we're going to begin in an easy pose with a cushion or a block if you have it right underneath your sit bones, just to lift and elevate your hips. I notice that I like to be in this position more when it comes to retaining the breath. There's something about the equilibrium of it that really helps me. So come into your easy pose. If you're on a block, have your knees sprawl downward where your hips are really opening up. Lengthen up through your spine and roll your shoulders down away from your ears. You can have your palms facing up or down, depending on if you would like to receive in more energy or if you're doing this later in the day and you're doing this more of a grounding practice. Today, rather than just starting with observing our breath, we are going to start with the Samavriti breath. So I recommend to stop this video here if you have not already done the Samavriti tutorial, and I recommend watching that first. So you're very familiar and comfortable with how to apply that, because that's what we're going to be starting this practice off with as I guide you into the Antara Kumbhaka. So for Samavriti, based off of where you are in your practice, we're going to begin with either a 3 or a 5 count, just for a couple rounds to really connect our body with our breath. Let's begin. Inhale. Exhaling out of the nose rather than the mouth. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, or up to 5 if that's where you are in your practice. Exhale, 3, 2, 1, out of your nose. Couple more rounds just like this. Now, without shying away from the equilibrium and the balance between your inhales and your exhales, I'll ask you now to gradually guide your breath into an Ujjayi breath. So continuing with the balance between the inhale and the exhale, but just deepening and making the inhale and the exhale a bit more shallow, coming from your throat. Something like this. connecting with that eternal ocean. Begin to observe the natural pauses after your inhale. Notice how when you inhale in oxygen and your breath fills up your body, how you don't really need to take in any more for those couple seconds, where that pause comes into play right before your exhale. Feel your breath as you inhale flow into the pause and exhale. One fluid motion of breath. I welcome you now to focus inward onto that retention of breath after your inhale and try to hold it for just a couple more seconds. So if you are originally only holding it for one naturally, maybe try to extend it to 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Again, never forcing the breath, just playing with it and exploring the capacity that your lungs have currently in your right here and now practice. So inhale, pause, hold. 1, 2, 3 at the top. Exhale softly out of the nose. Inhale again. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Exhale softly out of the nose. Trying again to keep the inhale and the exhales equal, but not paying too much attention to that, really applying your focus to that retention. Continue on with your breath. If you're noticing at any time that your exhale is needing to rush out of your body, that's a sign and that's an alert that you are maybe holding your inhales for too long. So just try to lower the length of time, and then you'll notice that you're able to more gradually exhale out. Let's continue on for a few more rounds to really gain that rhythm. Maybe you notice that 3 is too short. Play around with adding on another second or 2. Do what feels good. Connect to that inner stillness, that prana, that life force energy. Two more rounds just like this. Maybe try to expand the length by 1 more second to give yourself a little challenge. Or if not, just stay right where you are. Exhale it all out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes to bring some of that prana to the rest of your body. And open your eyes when you're ready. Okay. Why did you stop?
It was like 10% battery.
Okay, well, it should be fine. Now I'm going to have to edit it. I welcome you if you are looking to expand and evolve this practice to shoot for the goal of 15 seconds when it comes to retention, but this may come far in the future. You are on your own journey, and if 15 seconds isn't your goal and that doesn't feel good and you don't get to that point, that is okay. Know that you are on your own unique journey. Your body has its own chemistry, and it's beautiful and perfect the way that it is. But how you can work on evolving and expanding this practice is just by increasing that retention length little by little as you gradually expand and incorporate this practice into your daily life. So for this week, I recommend to just stay with that same retention that you found comfortable in this practice and stay with that for the next 7 days. And then maybe next week you up it by 1 to 2 seconds. And you just really play with that. Again, becoming aware and using this breath as feedback, where if you are exhaling and really feeling like you need to rush the air out, step back on your retention. Maybe some days you can have a longer retention versus other days, and there's a lot of factors that come into play with that. So, thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. I hope you learned something and that this can be a beautiful addition to your inner work practice. Thank you and namaste.